early, but it seems as if everybody's kind of settled in, so we'll go ahead and begin. Certainly, welcome to each of you. We are happy that you're here. We are certainly want to thank the AdvancEd team for the efforts and the time that you have put in over the last few days. We know that for the most of the time that you've been here, you've had to deal with the rain, but today is a beautiful day, and we're happy about that. We needed the rain, but certainly the sun is good to see today. We also want to thank all of the principals and their staff because they have done a tremendous job. They do it every day, but especially in this particular process that we've been going through. Also, certainly we would like to thank Dr. Carol Burns, as well as Katrina McKellen, who is the Director of the Secondary Education. And we'd also like to thank the rest of the staff because they have done a tremendous amount of work in preparation for this. They put a lot of time and effort into this accreditation process. So many thanks to all of you for all that you have done, that you do, and we're getting close to the end of the year, and we know that everybody's going to be working hard to finish strong here. At this time, I would like to call on Dr. Carol Burns. She is the Associate Superintendent for Educational Program Services. So, Dr. Burns.
I'll come up here even though I don't think you'll. We do want to thank the members of the team. And Katrina, let's introduce the team members. Where are you? Right back there. We need you to stand up so they can see who you are.
All right, we'll start with our lead evaluator, Dr. David Barnett. And our associate lead evaluator was Robin Fitzgerald, Ellen Ray, Candace Boatwright, Holly Fox, and Jessica Avery.
Let's give them a big hand. We've got to know these people and pick their brains pretty well this week in the hall, wherever we could get some more information. We tried to drain their brains while they were here, so I know they're going home tired. We accused them of bringing the rain. See, they're ready to go home now and the sunshine comes out. So I told Leanne when I came in this morning, the sun didn't come out, and I tried to dress to be the sun today and so forth. So several people I need to thank too before Dr. Barnett comes. I want to thank the Educational Program Services staff, and if they'll all stand, I'm not going to name all of them, that we've worked diligently, so they're all over the place. I think people understand we work as a team. We even met this morning. They kept saying, are we going to meet this morning? Well, it was Wednesday morning. We had planned for the next week. And Dr. Barnett, I promise the principals, at least at the next meeting now, we won't put that bullseye. If I told them, they could explain that bullseye. Chad, can't you explain that bullseye to him? So they know exactly what it is. Now, the next big thing we have to work on, even though this is part of it, is that next circle in there. And Bill, what's that next one we're going to work on? What's next year? Oh, there's one more. They've got it all now, so we know we've got it covered and so forth. So, we want to thank the principals for working so diligently, a lot of hard work. They have worked over the past couple of years. We did our thing in the office, and then they modeled it, and then they had to model it in their schools, and they were very diligent in doing this all along. Didn't complain a bit. Once in a while, a little murmur, but not much. So,
Thank you, Dr. Barnes, very much. It's clearly you have a strong team and one board that you should be very proud of, certainly here in the central office and also in your schools. I told Dr. Burns yesterday I've done a lot of these external reviews, but it's the first time I've ever seen AdvancEd on the bullseye. And I wasn't quite sure what to make of that. But I think it was certainly appropriate and well-intended and made the point. But again, we have enjoyed our time here in Caldwell County. It's, even though it was a wet Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, today's turned out to be glorious. And I'm not going all the way home today. I'm going to go up to the mountains and spend a bit of time and work on the report, actually. And so it will be nice to spend some time looking out over the creation and enjoying the fond memories and the ponderings of Caldwell County. One of the things I tell every team is that the accreditation process is a process where colleagues and peers go in and spend some time with a school system that has worked very diligently in looking at their own policies and practices and done a self-evaluation and a self-assessment and then had a team to come in to examine the same evidence that the internal team has reviewed. So I've got to do a little paid political announcement for AdvancEd. AdvancEd is an international company that recognizes now about 34,000 school systems and impacts more than 20 million children worldwide. And it's not every school system that goes through accreditation. It's those school systems that really want to move up to the next level because, as you all know, the standards and indicators are research-based and they embrace the best practices. And so school personnel, educators want to see how are we stacking up with best practice. And so AdvancEd used to be a part of, SACS. You probably went through SACS at some point if you've been around a few years. And Dr. Burns and I kind of compared notes this morning. She's got a few more years than I do, but if I said together we had almost 100, that would give you some idea. But anyway, SACS and the Northwestern Association, Central Association, they all combine together, and AdvancEd now is the umbrella organization for SACS and those other organizations. The accreditation process itself is one that I described briefly there just a few minutes ago. And really the intent of the accreditation process is to bring about continuous improvement. There is no district or no organization, school, classroom that is perfect. And there are some that are exemplary in many ways, but even in those that are exemplary in many ways, there's always room for improvement. And so this is not a gotcha kind of process, but it is a process by which we look at policies and practices from a broad perspective and then make some recommendations based upon the evidence that we found. Of course, you all spend a day or two doing the internal review, or 3, or 4, or somewhere more than that, but you spent some time doing an internal review. And I told Dr. Stone and Dr. Burns and Katrina during the report, the time that we spent together at noon, that the internal review process is perhaps one of the best processes that you do, because it forces you to ask questions that you don't ask every week or every day or even every month, sometimes every year. It requires that you look at what you're doing in the classroom and what you're doing in the boardroom and what you're doing in the bus garage and what you're doing with technology and so forth and so on. And it says, how are we doing this? How do what we're doing every day for and with children compare with what we should be doing for and with children? And so the internal review process is very time-consuming, and Did you say a couple of days the principal spent on this, maybe?
Yeah.
At least? Okay. But again, as a result of that, districts that are honest really do start to see where the warts are. Now, you really already know where they are. It's just kind of a reminder of, okay, here's where they are. Maybe we need to pay attention to them in a little bit different way. Then we had the external review team to come in. We might recognize some of those people, I'm not sure. But the external review team, of course, our review of the evidence did not begin on Sunday. Our review of the evidence actually began before you sent us your evidence list, because, you know, we looked at your website and we looked at the community's websites and tried to get an idea of what it would be like to be a part of this community, and so certainly when the evidence was sent to us, the volume of evidence that was sent to us, we explored, and there are 6 members on the team, and there are 5 standards. Standard 3 is the most involved of the standards, and so I assigned 2 members to that standard, and every other standard had 1 team member. Now, that doesn't mean that we all didn't look at all the indicators, but each of us had a particular focus. The report will contain a powerful practice and 4 improvement priorities. There will be an index of education quality, and obviously at the end, a recommendation for accreditation. There were some themes that we noticed, and we heard this from parents, we heard it from kids, we heard it from central office folks, we heard them from principals, we heard them from teachers, we heard them from support staff, community members. The relationship between this board, this school system, and this community is really quite remarkable. There is a feeling of trust that seems to go in both directions. There's a feeling of pride that goes in both directions, a feeling of family. It's not school and community, it's a family that is made up of community and school. And certainly this part of the country, I don't need to remind you all, went through a fairly tough time when some of the furniture makers left town, and the school system really became the bedrock and was the stalwart, if you will, that provided encouragement and strength and determination for many. There were many, I'm sure, mental health issues. I'm sure many kids were scared. I'm sure many adults were afraid. And so the school system stood strong and was able to see, you might not be completely through, but maybe you are. And again, it's the feeling that what we heard from the community, I told Dr. Stone and the others, I wish that you could have, it would not have been appropriate for you all to have been in the room during the interviews, but I wish you could have heard the passion with which your community shared their love and respect for the school system. We talked with a bunch of folks. As you can see, we talked with all these people gathered around the semicircle up here, and you can see the administrators. The most important group that we talked with was the largest group we talked with, and that was the kids. You all have great students, great children. I don't have to tell you all that, but I will remind you of that. They are very articulate. They are very well-mannered. They have quick smiles and are generous in their conversation. I usually fly to these reviews, but I'm driving this time, and I told someone that I might take 2 or 3 kids home with me. And now, don't quote me on that, because if somebody's missing, I don't want the police looking for me. But they truly are just delightful children, just delightful. And I interviewed some of the youngest ones and some of the older ones, and the younger ones were just as enthusiastic and articulate and well-mannered as your oldest ones were. So it was, and all the team reported the same thing. Okay, the first domain is teaching and learning, and that's made up of standards 3 and 5, and this is the heart of the process. You can see some of the evidence that we looked at in order to make a decision, and there are, as I said, okay, we're having a little bit of. Go in there and just, you see where it says 1, 2, yeah, no, go back a slide. Go forward a slide. Now you see where it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over there? You just eliminate, there's little squares there, or little rectangles, and so just hit delete now. Now you're going to have to, yeah, but now you're going to have to move your cursor a little bit to the right. Whoa. Okay, now click. Okay, now there's going to be one of those on every one of those lines, so just eliminate that. Yeah, see, I wanted to build build this for best laid plans, right? And there's going to be one coming up that we're going to be doing the same thing, so just get prepared for that. Okay. All right, so now swing me back around there. There we go. All right. We observed in 56 classrooms in 8 different schools, and we used the Elliott instrument. And one of the things the Elliott is Effective Learning Environment Observation something. I don't remember what the T stands for. Tool, thank you. All right. I knew it was something. I just didn't know what it was. Okay. As you can see, where it says external review, that's the team average, all right? And the AEN, that's the Advanced Ed Network average. So of the 24,000 schools that were, 24,000 schools that were, no, it's 24,000, I'm not sure if it's observations or schools. But of the data that we got last year from AEN, that's the average. And as you can, if you look down through there, you can see that the team average that we have here is higher than the AEN, Advanced Ed Network average, is higher in every learning environment. Now, one thing that's except digital learning, and I'm going to comment on that here in just a minute. One of the things to keep in mind is that in the Elliott, you observe the students and not the teachers. It is the students, for example, in equitable learning. Are the students involved in differentiated kinds of instructional activities? Under active learning environment, are they collaborating? Are they working with one another, or are they not? And there's a 4-point scale, either not observed, somewhat evident, evident, or very evident. And under the digital learning environment, if the students are not using technology, then it's not observed. We could have teachers doing extremely talented and interesting things with technology, but if the students are not using the technology, then it's marked as not observed. All right. So as you can see, the AEN average is low, and this one, the Caldwell County is 1.44. We really thought that would be higher, and we think that that's an area, a leverage point that you can use to increase student learning, and actually there's an improvement priority related to that. But if you look at all the others, you can see you should be really pretty pleased with the results that we have here. So the first improvement priority: develop, implement, and monitor a comprehensive plan that enables all professional and support staff to evaluate, interpret, and use data to identify instructional decisions leading to improved student learning. If you keep in mind that this is a district review, which means that a few schools, or even many schools, could be doing something extremely well, but if it's not district-wide, then it becomes an improvement priority. We found some places that were doing an exceptional job of looking at data and using those data to make instructional decisions. But we also found a few places that were not as effective in using the data that they had available. And so what this is saying is make sure that it's happening everywhere, that the data that you have a mountain of data, and in many cases it is being used effectively, but in some places it could be used much more effectively. And so that's kind of the bottom line on this particular improvement priority. Secondly, identify discrepancies between teaching practices and learning outcomes by contrasting student proficiency and growth data with teacher evaluation data in order to identify instructional priorities, professional development, and opportunities for targeted school improvement. And this is one that could really bring about improvement, quite frankly, pretty quickly, because if we looked at your teacher evaluation data and we compared that with the student results, and you have a large number of teachers who have been rated as thank you, accomplished and distinguished, which is the highest ratings that you can have. But the student data do not always reflect that. And so there needs to be some conversation with those who are performing the evaluations to say, if you have accomplished and distinguished teachers, then the student data should reflect accomplished and the higher level kinds of student learning, and that there's this mismatch. And if you look at it very, very closely, in fact, if you don't have to look at it too closely, there's a mismatch between how teachers are being they're rated versus the student performance. So this will be one that it will require a bit of determination, but one that we think is an important leverage point for you as well. This improvement priority: develop, implement, and monitor a formal program in all schools whereby each student is well known by at least one adult advocate who supports the student's educational experiences and acts as a mentor for learning, thinking, and life skills, as well as physical, social, and emotional needs. Sometimes I share with folks when this is an improvement priority. There used to be a show on TV that was called Cheers. I never watched, but it began with the song, "I want to go someplace where everybody knows my name." Well, all of us want to go to a place where at least somebody knows our name, right? And so all of our kids, all of your kids, deserve an adult advocate, making sure that there is at least one person there that's in their corner fighting for them, if they're absent a lot, or if they're having, if their grandma dies, or if, whatever. I mean, it's school. Life is school, and school is life. And so what this is let's identify in a formal way. Now, there's many programs that you have going on in the school. Don't misunderstand. There are many things already happening where there are advocates, but it's not done in a formalized way. And if it's not done in a formalized way, some kids are going to slip through the cracks, okay? And even sometimes those kids who look like they have it all together sometimes can be the loneliest kids. And so make sure this is an improvement priority that really gets at the heart of what I think education is all about, and that is connecting with each child on a level that ensures that there's somebody in their corner that's going to be there for them on a recurring basis. Okay, the next domain is the leadership capacity. That focuses on standards 1 and 2, and there's a powerful practice there. The Caldwell County Board of Education and the Central Office Leadership Team support leadership at all levels and respect the autonomy of its educators. Over and over and over again, we heard certainly the respect that the board has for the superintendent and his team, and you all as board members know that you're a policy-making body, and that the administration of the school, of the district and the schools should be left to the administration. And we heard that over and over again. We heard from teachers that the principal certainly supported them, but also allowed them to have the autonomy to do the job, and that the principals felt the autonomy to do the job. There were expectations clearly that were made by central office folks. Here's what we need you to do, but it wasn't, here's what we need you to do, here are the 7 steps we need you to follow, and we're going to check on you every day, and if you don't do it like this, no. It was, here's the job, do it. So it goes back to that, position of trust. And that doesn't happen everywhere. But I can tell you where it doesn't happen, it's very frustrating for people who are supposed to be in leadership roles and have not been given the autonomy and authority to do the job. And so you all are to be commended, both the Board of Education and the central office, for that. Resource utilization it's on standard 4, and there is an improvement priority here. Design a system to improve the infrastructure and increase equitable access with technology, fostering integration of instructional strategies that require students to think critically in all curriculum areas. Now, some of this is a geography challenge, because we know that there are certain areas of the county that internet and phone service, wireless and things like that are more accessible than others. But where you do have technology, it's not being used to its fullest. There are times that, or at least when we were there, in the 56 classrooms we observed, we thought we would see more of it being used. And so look at what you have. Certainly make sure that the infrastructure is there to power what you have. And as technology becomes more and more sophisticated, then the infrastructure is going to have to be more and more sophisticated. Think about watching a high definition movie versus an 8mm movie, and the storage that would be required if you compared the two. And as testing becomes more and more required online, as more and more courses are available online, as kids start doing dissection online, and they do some marvelous and extraordinary things online. This is saying just pay attention to the infrastructure, because there are some places that it seems to be really pretty solid, and other places that it's not as solid. That's why the word equitable is in there. The index of education quality. Okay, the next slide is going to flicker. Okay, but let me talk about this one for just a minute. The index of education quality, when districts and schools were going through this, going through accreditation, they said, so what's the bottom line? What's the bottom line? And so AdvancEd developed the bottom line. So there is an overall score, and there is a score in each of the domains. And you can see all the things that go into making this up. By the way, this PowerPoint is stored on the desktop of this machine back here, and so it'll be available here in the district certainly after we're gone. Let's see what happens here. What did I tell you? Okay, go to the next slide. There you go. Okay, go. There you go. Just please. This is really going to be dramatic. Steven Spielberg would be disappointed. Anyway, one of the things that I like to do too is I want to see if the district internal review scores were used, what would the score be? And so that first column, district ratings based on internal review, that column shows what the scores would be if the team had scored exactly as the district did, all right? The middle column is what the team's score was based on all the evidence that we reviewed. And the last column is the average of all the schools that went through it last year. So as you can see, the overall score, the district says 290.24, the team says 283.33, the AdvancEd network is 278.94. So you can see that the team score certainly was higher than, and in fact, if you look down through there, except for the bottom one, the team score is higher than the AdvancEd network average, all right? So again, the middle score is what we came up with. The first column is what the school district came up with, and the last column is the AdvancEd network average. Under teaching and learning domain, you can see the 290.48 compared to the 271.43, and then the AdvancEd network average of 268. Interestingly enough, the last two I think are most interesting. And Dr. Burns, are you going to say it now? I told you so, or you want to wait till later on?
I'm gonna get that in later.
Okay.
I will use that.
Okay. So, no, the leadership capacity, as you can see, the district rated themselves at 300. We rated under leadership capacity. We rated at 305.56. And the AEN network average was 293.71. You can see the last column there. Now, what I was getting with Dr. Burns, when the standards folks did their presentation, we were talking about the ratings, and Dr. Burns suggested that, or we thought that some of the ratings were too low, and so she made a comment or two about that, and this just kind of verifies that we agree with Dr. Burns, and that some of those ratings were lower than but it's much better. It's much better to be humble than it is to be a little bit cocky, right? Okay. But again, you should be pleased with those scores. And I will tell you that resource utilization, that the use of technology, which is in Standard 4, is one that pulled that average down. So the IEQ results that the institution is performing within acceptable ranges as compared to the expected criteria, as well as all other institutions in the AdvancEd network, and therefore the review team recommends the AdvancEd Accreditation Commission that Caldwell County Schools earn the distinction of accreditation by AdvancEd. Congratulations, Caldwell County. So what does that mean? All right, you have 4 improvement priorities. That means within the next 2 years, those improvement priorities must be tended to. That doesn't mean they have to be completely finalized, but that also means that you can't put the report on the shelf and let it draw dust for a couple of years. And I know this team, did you say you're meeting Friday to start already? Wednesday? Okay, wait till next week. But again, within 2 years, there will be someone from AdvancEd who will come by and do a progress check. They probably won't let me come back to North Carolina, but maybe they will. If they do, I would thoroughly enjoy that. But usually it's somebody who lives a little bit closer to the place. I love Churchill's quote, "This is not the end, but it's not even the beginning of the end, but it is perhaps the end of the beginning." You all really are about continuous improvements, given the bullseye and the red ring around there, and the it's not keep on keeping on, but it is we're going to keep on, but we have some fresh eyes and some new ideas and some new challenges and of direction. The external review team certainly appreciates the hospitality. I actually weighed 175 pounds before I came in here. Okay, that was a bit of a lie. But we have been fed more than generously, and it certainly has been greatly appreciated. The hotel has been great. It's very well closely located. Good place to meet there, and as I said, Katrina's been a point person and has been very, very helpful, and Dr. Burns and Dr. Stone, just really nice. I made the first call, I think, in October or November. It was some times ago, and then there was a lapse between when we talked, and but anyway, most of the conversation has been by email, but it's been met. The needs have been met almost immediately, and we certainly appreciate that. The challenge that you all have is one that I think any administrator would love to walk alongside you, because you have certainly a unique place, but you also have a beautiful place to live. The mountains that are surrounding you, the people that surround you, but most importantly, the kids that you serve are blessings that I trust that you'll never forget, because they truly are a gift that I don't know that we take them for granted, but I'm not sure that we always are as thankful as we should be to have the opportunity to work with these youngsters. Whoops. Okay, now this was going to be a really nice slide too. But anyway, the last slide would just said congratulations to you all, and again, we appreciate the time. I will finish the report certainly within a week. It will go to a reviewer who will show me all the grammatical errors that a math major usually makes, and it will be sent back to me to correct those errors. Sent back to him or her, and once we decide that everything looks good, then it will be sent to the state. And within 30 days, you should have a comprehensive report of the work that we've done. But again, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you. Dr. Barnett and members of the team, we really do appreciate you being here and being a part of this process. It has been a learning experience for us, and we certainly have thanked you very much for showing us some of the things that we need to work on, as well as sharing some of your great ideas from the places you've been. So it's been a pleasure having you, and thank you very much for your time and dedication to do this, to making school districts across the state and across the nation better. We appreciate it.
Once again, Dr. Barnett and the team, we are certainly happy to have you in Caldwell County, and we appreciate your report. And needless to say, we're very proud of Caldwell County Schools. We're proud of all the people that are in here, but we're also proud of those people that are back in the classrooms doing their work now, the students that we have, the parents that are so supportive, and living in a county that is very supportive of public education in our school system. So we're very, very pleased with that. We know that there's things we need to do, and tomorrow and each day thereafter, we will be working to do better and to improve. We're proud of ourselves, but we realize that there's always something more to do. And thank you for your efforts in pointing that out to us as well. So, anybody have any questions? Anything? Any of the board?
I think just to thank you, I mean, we can't say thank you to that. That's the reason that we get to sit here, I mean, and or be able to be proud of what they do and their staffs.
Anyone else? Do I hear a motion that we adjourn?
I so move.
And is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned. Y'all have a safe trip home.